Okay. Go like this. And we're here. Um bum, 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 bum. Let's kick it up. So I was looking at this. Um let's start with the board here. What did we do yesterday? We actually upgraded the project to 4.4.1, and then we started showing enemy HP. Actually, both those things are pretty massive. That's actually big. Let's put those in the weekly done column. Forgot to empty out the weekly done column. Because that, I don't think, was from last week. Well, either way, today's Sunday, so we're at a new week. So we're just going to drop all this stuff in here. This seems a bit annoying that I can't just mark everything as done. But okay. This is not done. I spent a long time on this yesterday, though. I see what's going on. These are all bugs that are part of this feature ticket. This feature, I might as well call it a ticket. Task. Basically adding controller support. Here's a quick cleanup thing. Let's throw this in here. Put this on the back burner. And we'll do underscore parameter names real quick. Let's also take a quick look at what's in my Git here. Yeah, we're going to clean this up. This is going to be input handler, cleanup, player number, enum. Not used and creates more noise. And names and named player numbers are way too long to actually type. Right? This is all experimental stuff. This is all experimental stuff. Oops. So we're gonna do gonna go like that. And we're gonna stash everything and say, go back here and we'll grab this. What was it? Pressing down. Yeah. I don't know. I guess input. We'll just say keyboard and controller navigation, UI navigation bug. Scrap work? I don't know. What's it called? I don't know if I'll ever actually even go back in there. But whatever. So let's do this one first, and I might pull this smarter spawning into today also. I do want to spend some time, of course, doing this controller input buggy stuff that I have here. We should probably see if there's a place we can reach out and ask people questions about this. But we'll start with this input designator. Input designator. And then what was this thing? Underscore parameter names. Oh, why did I say that? This is fine. Check is ready. Actually, check is ready. probably is only used in this class too. It is. So I'm gonna underscore that. Input designator. That's gonna be a separate commit though, because it doesn't have to do with what I'm supposed to be doing. It's related, but it's not exactly. So we'll put it as a separate commit. I'll say cleanup. Cleanup check. Cleanup add underscore to private function name. Good. Oh, I see what happened. So here, that's probably what we have. Yes, we have this in a bunch of places where we, yeah, okay. Yes, why did I do this? I don't know. So we'll go like that. And we can see here that we also use it. And here we are also using it. And in here we're also using it. Yeah, I don't know why that was like that. Now we have to kind of test this to make sure it works. Connect another controller, another device. Wait, yeah. That's funny. That's a funny bug. Yeah, there's some bugs in there still, but those bugs were there before. So we need to debug it. Oh, we need to debug it. Makes sense. Designer designator. Clean up, remove underscores from parameters, from used, from parameters that are being used. I'm not going to say used parameters because it could be misread as unused. But if I say parameters that are used, puts more emphasis. Parameters that are unused. I guess you could say either way, but whatever. Having some space in those words maybe makes it easier. So that's done. That's what we call low-hanging fruit. Smarter spawning. This was a task. It's not even a dev task. It's just a task. I have to think about how to spawn things more intelligently. But now, too many enemies can spawn. Enemies can spawn in bad places. Get stuck in geometry, can't move. So what I should probably do, let's take a look at player spawn. Now let's take a look at enemy spawner. Because these work differently. And my player spawn actually sort of handles this situation. Right, we have this optimal spawn position. And how's this working? Player number equals 0. Like, I think this algorithm is pretty good. It works well, as far as I can tell. So the question is, how can I apply this How can I make this more generic and apply it to the other place? So does player number actually even matter for anything? Not really. The only thing we use player number for here is to check if it's the first player. And that's it. Now, this is a hefty chunk of code. So what I'm thinking is, if I'm going to use the same algorithm in two places, I can extract it, and it's a pretty big function. I can put it in a separate file, and then we can make it so that we can reuse it in different places. And then how does this work exactly? Optimal spawn position player number. And I think it checks, is using some field. Surrounding coordinates. Don't spawn here cells. Collisions tile map. I thought it was using spawned positions. It's using this. It depends on this, right? Yeah, so that's what I thought. So what we would do if we extracted this, we would need this array also to be extracted, and that's fine. And then what we would do is that would be its own class. It would be like spawn optimizer, right? And the spawn optimizer would have a spawn positions array and would do all this other stuff. And it's probably just drag and drop is my guess. Probably just drag and drop just like that. But now let's take a look at how this actually works. Map position, map coordinates. Because how does it find position? What the heck is position? Oh, okay. So it also depends on position, the position of the entity that it's on. So it is a little bit different. It is a little bit different than our other algorithm because basically for player spawn to visualize this is not the right project. We'll go in here. So my player spawn doesn't have anything there, but my enemy spawn has the enemy spawner. So we're never ever going to spawn on this position. So it does work differently. We could, if we wanted to, make the spawn optimizer I mean, I could still make this a parameter and say use position, like should use position. And if should use position equals 0, then bam. And then where we call optimal spawn position here, instead of just giving it the player number, I would give it a Boolean in here. And I would say like, you know, I is equal to 0. And I think that would just work. I think that would just be drag and drop. My gut was, okay, maybe like it does make sense to just reuse it as it is. But then I was thinking, well, what if it is a little bit different? Like in this case, it is a little bit different. We'll never ever want to use that in the other one. So what I could do is I could copy and paste it and just delete that code and just have them live completely separately. And then the advantage of that being that if I realize that these algorithms do need to change independently, they can because they're not using the same code at that point. And it's only duplicated once, which is still not terrible. I think either one's fine though. I think either one really is fine. Let's go here and go classes, spawn optimizer. Because I kind of want to put this in a separate class because it just seems cleaner. Last name spawn optimizer. Extends node. Does it extend node? What do my other ones do? What does input handler do? It doesn't extend node. Why am I thinking to extend node is because I'm using get tree. And map collisions tile map. Is also a field, which is a tile map layer, which gets set in a different function. And level container, find parent level. Get tree nodes in group. I mean, so there's another thing too, right? Instead of having this function fish out these, basically these are dependencies. Instead of having this function fish them out, I can just pass them in as dependencies. Which could either be a node. I could pass in a node and that would give me access to all the node functions like get tree and find parent. But this doesn't look like it uses find parent. Yeah, let's start by ripping this out and just see what happens. We'll play the dependency game here. We're not going to extend node. We don't need to. And then player number really isn't player number. I guess for debugging purposes, like here, it kind of helps. But we'll just say player number. We're going to close that for a sec because this code's pretty big. And I need some more screen space and brain power to process it. We'll rename this to should use position. And then instead of an int, we'll make that a boolean. Let me just see something real quick. Hmm. Right. And then we can decide how we want to do this. So I could make this a static method. Spawn optimizer dot optimal spawn position. Spawn optimizer dot optimal position. Seems like we can make that a little bit shorter. I'm also going to chop this down because I'm anticipating that we'll need more dependencies in here. We'll go down one at a time. Position is not declared in the current scope. That's right. See? So this is good. These errors are going to tell us everything we need. So position, do we use global position in here? We don't use global position. So if it's just for a debug output print statement, I'm not going to bother including it. And then set of equals 0, if should use position, and then spawned positions. I don't think it's used anywhere else. Oh, I see. Because once we actually spawn it, there is some state that we have to manage from outside the class, which is a little bit weird. Right? We have to remember to clean up after ourselves. Oh, but is that true? Spawn players, spawn positions dot clear. No, it's not true because we're going to use this. So the solution for that we don't have to clear this is that we're going to instantiate it instead, and it's not going to be static because it has these fields on it. And so what we're going to do here is create a var spawn optimizer. Spawn optimizer dot new. And then this will be spawn optimizer dot optimal position. Spawn optimizer not declared in the current scope. Why doesn't it find this? What did I do with these? Input handler. Did I have to add those as globals? The globals, I think, are singletons. No. So I don't know why I can't find it. It's kind of weird to me. There we go. I think because it wasn't imported yet. I had to go back to Godot because I noticed that this UID file popped in after I tabbed back in. Okay, now we're looking for what's missing. Collisions tile map, I think, is a dependency. So we're going to need collisions tile map. So let's have start position. Oh. I'll just call it position, and then we can refactor rename it if we want to. I can use the refactor tools to rename it, and then we'll have a better name and it'll automatically update my code for me. So position should use position. I'm just going to leave it as this for now. And then should use position. I'm wondering if it should have a default value. Like if I want to give it default values, then it should be the last parameter. But if I don't want to give it a default value and force you to say it every time, then I would leave it where it is, because then it'll be positionally next to the other parameter named position. Then we can do collisions tile map. Oh, hold the phone. Okay, this is a class, right? I forgot. I decided to make this a class that's instantiable. So because of that, what I can do when I initialize this here is take all the things that aren't going to change and pass them into the constructor. So things we don't expect the position of this thing to change in between calls to optimal position, and we don't expect the tile map to change in between. So we'll create an init, and my init will have position, which will be a vector2, vector2, vector2. Hold on. Node 2D. Vector 2. Okay, wanted to double check. That is not a vector 2I. I was pretty sure it was okay. So position vector 2 and then tile map. And what the heck is a collisions tile map? Is a tile map layer. And then in my init, I can say, okay, self.position equals position. And I can say self.tile map is tile map. Also looking at how this thing camel cases it, I probably should have not made tile map one word, and I probably should underscore like this, tile map. It's probably what I should do, but that's okay. I'm actually gonna temporarily rename this to collisions tile map, which actually is probably a decent name for it anyways, so we'll leave that one alone. Now, is that true? It's a great external parameter name, but this one we can probably just call it tile map. Right? I'm gonna make it, yeah, no, that's fine. That's good. That's a good name. Tile map, position never used. Shadowing. Oh. Start position. Actually, it's great. These are great names, right? Now, what are we missing? Surrounding cells. Oh, there's a function called surrounding cells. That's another dependency that has to pop into here. Okay, so it's actually kind of good that I'm putting it in here because there's now like two functions that I have to pull in here. Make that one like a private function. Now get tree, get nodes and group don't spawn here. So I have two things I can do. And I think I'm going to pass that into the constructor also. Forbidden cells. Forbidden cells, it sounds so fancy, right? Forbidden cells is going to be an array of nodes, I think. Forbidden, well, this maps it to cells. Forbidden nodes in group. Tile map local to map n dot position. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to work around get tree missing, right? And I'm thinking I don't need to make this a node to use get tree here. I'm going to try to pass something in here so I don't have to call get tree. So we'll call get tree on this side of the fence. on the right side of my screen here where I'm creating the spawn optimizer, we're going to call getTree on this side. So I'm trying to decide what type to use here, right? Like how much of this call do I want to put on each side of the fence? We can probably, to make it the most generic possible, we can probably put this entire variable on this side, right? We can construct that on the calling side. We can call it on the we can construct it on this side, but I'm gonna have to do that in two places. So maybe this will become a utility function in this class, and we'll call this like node. This will be like node positions, right? Nodes to map or something like that. Now let's take a look at, that's fine. What I'm gonna do is look at local to map and see what the return type of this is. Local to map is a vector2i. And because it's in a map function, that means it's an array. We're taking a, right, get nodes in group. Get nodes in group is probably an array of nodes. It is. So we're going to have an array of vector2i's. And so let's add another method in here. That's going to be called, we are going to create it on the right side, but this function here, this is useful stuff to have in here. So this is going to come over here, and it's going to be function nodes to map nodes, array of node. I'll put a note here, converts a list of nodes into, it's an array, and an array of nodes into coordinates vector 2i. To vector 2i coordinates. Right? And then instead of doing getTree, get nodes in group, we're just gonna go here and say nodes.map. And now it's generic, and now I can say here, var don't spawn here cells equals this. Don't spawn, don't spawn here nodes. Which is kind of wacky, right? I created this don't spawn here thing, this tag don't spawn here. But it's literally all of my entities. Like I don't have a single entity that's not, no, that's not true. My spawners are. My spawners are. So here's what I'm thinking, right? Sorry, what I'm thinking in my head is that I created this don't spawn here tag in LDtk. The idea was that, oh, any entity I don't want players to spawn on top of, I'll tag it and put it in this list. So I'm basically creating a blacklist of tiles, a blacklist of entities, which will become scenes in Godot, a blacklist of scenes where or nodes in the node tree where I don't want people to spawn. But we only have 2 spawn points. Also, is exit in there? Exit is in there. But we only have 3 spawns, right? And, oh, except for exit. We don't want people to spawn on an exit. We definitely don't want players to spawn on an exit. But what I'm thinking is instead of having a blacklist that's going to grow every time I add more entities, like there's so many things in here, it's like really noisy and icky and gross, that I could just use the spawns group and say, hey, if it is a spawn, spawn there, right? And it's just in my code say, if it's not a spawn, don't spawn there. Instead of doing what I'm doing now. I'm not going to make that change right now. I'm going to try to right now just extract my code and have the extracted code be logically equivalent to what we're doing before. But what I'm going to do is it'll be logically equivalent to what we had before. And then after that, I'll try to make another pass and clean it up again. But we'll probably do that after we implement it on the enemy spawn and do it like that. I think that's a cleaner way of making this change. Neighbor offsets. Neighbor offsets is a constant that I also need to pull in here. Beautiful. Forbidden cells is never used because we need to create it here. Oh, forbidden. Sorry, these aren't going to be cells. These are going to be nodes. Forbidden nodes. Well. Going back to here. This could be, yep. Forbidden cells, and what we're going to do is this is going to be an array of vector2i, and it's going to have this, and then what we're going to do is we're going to say self.forbidden cells equals, and this is going to be private, nodes to map, right? Nodes to map, forbidden nodes. And basically when we create this class, it'll automatically call that function for us. So we don't have to do that because it doesn't make sense otherwise. And we'll have it like this. Be static. Oh, no, it can't be because we need tile map. Which also means it has to be called after tile map is set. Don't spawn here cells. Uh-oh. Right. Oh, I see. Oh, right. This wasn't a function before. That makes sense. So actually, instead of putting this in a variable, I can just say return. Right. Now what am I missing? Map bounds not declared in scope. And don't spawn here cells. That's fine. That's going to be forbidden cells. There's also a much smaller name. Collision cells is not declared. That's another. See, this is where copy pasting would have saved me more time. Right? So this was the bet that I wanted to make. I just wanted to see how hard it would be to pull this out. Actually, collision cells isn't used by this class anymore. So collision cells is going to come here. We're going to set it in here. Right? Of course and that should be the only error left in here. And it is, which is great. And now this should be pretty much error-free too. What is this? Map bounds. But unfortunately, oh no, that's also not used here. Oh, okay, so this also comes out. Actually, I don't even know that collisions tile map is used. It's not used in other functions. So this can disappear. And map bounds also comes out and goes into here. Right, okay, cool. So now we're gonna have start position is gonna be position, collisions tile map, forbidden nodes. Oh, look how much smaller this class got. It fits on one screen. This one doesn't though. See, this is how much code I would have had to duplicate. 92 lines. It's kind of a lot. I mean, if I zoom out, I still can't fit it all on one screen on the left side. But now the question is this stupid thing gonna work now? Now that we did that, we have to test it by adding another player, which is gonna again make me wish that I had implemented the thing that would make it so that I can add players without adding controllers. Invalid assignment, forbidden cells with value type array on a base of ref counted spawn optimizer. Ah, because there's no type. But I threw this into a function because of type issues. I was pretty sure. Like, I don't think that's going to compile. Whoops. Yep, trying to return an array where the expected type is this. Right, that's exactly why I thought that was going to fail. So what I might have to do is forbidden cells do this. Mm-hmm. Oh, dude, so much better. Oh my gosh. There's supposed to be a key up here. in this corner, I'm pretty sure. Oh, you know what? I don't know why I didn't think of this until just now. I'm like trying to figure out like, hey, how do I balance these characters and stuff like that? And I'm thinking about their damage. They all attack at the same speed. So what I should do is the characters that move slower should attack slower, generally speaking. That way they'll be stronger, but the balance will be that they don't attack as fast. So like the DPS should maybe average out, or maybe the slower one should be slightly stronger, but because it takes time, there's a risk involved. This guy's so fast. And I think once I fix this spawning issue here, this will get a little bit better. I don't know. But okay, this appears to be working. So I'm gonna add this. I'm gonna say, excuse me, commit. We're gonna say spawn optimizer and player spawn extract optimal spawn position logic for reuse. Then we're going to go open up enemy spawn. All right, so this allows me to reuse that same code. But what's going to happen is the rules can still be a little bit different without me changing any of this code that I just extracted, I believe. Right, like I can pass in a different set of cells that are not allowed because of the way that I inverted those dependencies. So let's go. New enemy dot global position equals global position. It just shoves it right on top. So now instead of this basic bare bones logic, what we want to do is create a spawn optimizer here, but we're going to create one spawn optimizer on ready because we don't need to create one every single time the timer pops, right? That would be insane. Doing all this get node stuff. I mean, it's probably fairly efficient. We might not even notice the difference, but because it's something that happens in a loop, essentially, in a timer, I don't want anything that could be remotely close to being computationally expensive. I mean, it might not be expensive, but, you know. Let's check that out in a minute. So then here, we'll say, seeing where I can add a variable. So these are constants. Enum's kind of like a constant. That should probably go over here. I think I had got this habit of adding enums at the bottom of my classes in Swift, and that's why I did that. And we'll put here var spawn optimizer. And then so then on ready, we'll create it. Make optimizer. Put it in a separate function. It's going to take a bit of chunks of code. Basically going to copy this. Which might also be, I just copy pasted something, might also be a good candidate for something to be abstracted. But why is there a colon here? I think I put that there by mistake. I could do that, or I can say return it and then spawn optimizer equals make optimizer. And then this way it looks like I'm initializing the fields. Instead of just calling some function that we would have to go into the function to see what's happening. It gives us a little bit more context where we're calling it. Okay. Committing that little cleanup there. You can also do a quick commit of this change. Like me moving this. That can be a cleanup commit. Enemy spawner, move enum above variables. It should actually be cleanup, sorry. Cleanup. There we go. Now we'll do some logic changes in the next commit. Right, that's where this comes in. That spawn optimizer. Now instead of global position equals this, let's see how I was doing this before. I was setting position, not global position. So new position dot position equals spawn optimizer dot optimal position false. And if we wanted to, what I could do here is go like const never use spawner position equals false. And now we have to decide like, oh, is it worth being a little bit more descriptive? Is it worth the extra line space that we're taking for this? Just say false? Or should we just inline it, right? But this is okay. Right, this compared to false, which fits on the same line. Yeah. I think it's fairly low value for the overhead. The overhead of someone maybe having to check what it actually does. And then that should definitely change the way enemies are spawning. Let's see what that actually does. I don't see any difference. What's going on here? Argument type 1 from nil to vector. Oh. Wait, how did that ever work? Spawn positions. Why is it nil? Enemy position. Optimal positions. Spawn positions. Oh. Spawn positions is nil. Oh, I see. I see. The reason why this doesn't work makes sense. Also, does that mean this wasn't working before? Okay, but I see what's going on now. Basically, I made this if statement opt-in, whereas before, even though it is an if statement, it's a different branch of logic. We were looping before, and this condition was always met at least once, which means there was always one position here. So what I need to do here is something a little bit different. Should use position. Yes, but if not, or else if we shouldn't use position and spawned positions dot size is 0. Is there an is empty? No. If the array is empty, yeah. That is empty. Oh. Oh. I see. It's gonna look weird as hell. There's a smell here. This is smelly. This is real smelly. I think it's kind of working. Is it better than before? Yes. Is it still not good? Also, yes. That looks like it's spawning on top of that thing to me. What does spawn do? Oh. Do we call this anywhere else? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. So what I think... Oh, wait, what am I saying? I don't know why I did this. I'll throw this here. We should be positioning it before we add the child, because what's happening is it's moving it after it shows up, which looks janky. Now it should spawn perfectly next to it. Or it's just gonna not work because there's a bug. What's the error? Is it actually? Yeah, it's actually putting them somewhere. Global position? Let's remove that line of code and see what happens when we just add it to the scene. That's probably what was happening before. That is exactly what was happening before. So it actually wasn't changing the position, is all that means. So I spent all this time to figure out that this actually doesn't do anything. But to be fair, so was extracting it actually more effort than copying it and pasting it? I don't think so, because I was going to have to copy and paste it and copy and paste all those variables either way. So I think the effort is exactly the same, even though it still doesn't work. And it probably doesn't work because of this. This probably isn't as good as I thought it is. Okay, I also realized the better way to write this is to go like this. Nice. Boom. This way, if spawn positions is empty, we always add the position, and then if we should use that position, just return it. See, you got to follow your gut sometimes when something looks fishy. That should be good logic, but this is still probably going to be bugs. I didn't fix whatever was causing this issue. So let's take a look. Should use position, false position 16824. Stop scrolling. And then optimal spawn position is 10, 3. And where is 10, 3? What the heck are these numbers, bro? Oh, there it is, 10. 10, 3. Okay, I don't know why it's 10, 3. But that's still valid. Right? That's still a decent place to spawn it. And then what's it telling me? 10, 3. And then what does 10, 3 convert to? Local cell positions 168.56. I don't know if that's right. But 24. Oh, plus 16 would be 40. 56, yeah, would be 16 times 2, right? Which is 32. Yes, 56. So this makes sense. I just don't know why it's not placing it in the right spot. So we instantiate it and we set the position to the optimal position. And we don't really need to return this either, by the way. No scene found for enemy type. That's not the situation we're getting into, though. And it says spawning. Where does it say spawning to? Spawning 0 in parent. Spawning enemy. Why is that a number? Oh, that's the enum value. And then in parent spawn pool, which is fine. Oh, what might be happening What is spawn pool? Let's look at the remote scene. I could also look at the code, but I want to see what's actually happening in the scene. Sorry, not the menu. View grid. Here we go. Level 0. Entities. Player spawns. Sorry, enemy spawns. Okay, I have a spawn pool node in here. Right, and that makes sense. Probably why I was using global position. Let's set global position. Which I'm pretty sure I did before also, and I'm pretty sure it didn't work. Oh, oh look, actually when I use global position, it's giving me the right cell position. I just don't know why it's putting it outside. Yeah, actually now it's giving me the right 10-2 is where it should spawn the first one. 168.40. Where's 168.40 on level 1? Let's go look into levels. Level 0. 168. Yeah, 168 is here. 40 is roughly over here. Can't really see what those numbers say because they don't really get any bigger. But yeah, like it should be over here somewhere basically. One of these two tiles. So it's like giving me the right position, but putting it in the wrong spot still somehow. So what I'm gonna do, let's look at enemy spawner. Does this spawn pool have like a weird transform? 0, 0, 1, 1. No. I thought maybe if this node was like offset like here or something like that, maybe it was causing it to offset everything else. Don't know why that doesn't work though. Like according to the debug logs, my stuff looks good. Cell local position. Optimal spawn position. So it's using cell local position. Yeah. And that should be good. Obviously it's not. So we have successfully created more bugs. I need to do a quick bio break. Get some water. Do some mobility exercises. I'll be right back. Twitch will hit up with an ad real quick. Get up, stretch, go to the bathroom, do your bio stuff. We'll be back in a few minutes. Yeah. Oh, what a stretch. Okay, we're back. So, we need to figure out why our enemies are going out in Narnia. 168. And why is this calculation working? Is this calculation working for players? It seems to be working for players. That whole screen's messed up. It works fine. It literally works fine. Okay, let's just say, or pretend, because the only thing different, I think, what's up, hero dot position. Here we're using dot position, we're not using global position. But that is weird, because you notice when I change true to false, it consistently gives me, sorry, when I can change from global position to position, it consistently gives me one tile difference, which also doesn't really make too much sense. But okay, I think I kind of figured out it has nothing to do with this. Those must be somehow the wrong coordinates or in the wrong coordinate system. I don't understand how it's different. I might just need to take some time away from this. I actually might hop off because I'm gonna have to take a walk soon. My back's, I'm getting all achy sitting down here. So I think I need to actually, like, I stretched. I don't think stretching is gonna help. I think I need to like get out, move around in spawn pool. Should use position true this time, and that's exactly the position where oh no, wait a minute. Hmm. Hmm. Oh, gamepad label shadowing in player column. Actually. Oh, that could be why this one's, there's a bug in this player column here. That could be why actually. Oh, and has player pressed. Is this used anywhere? Yeah. Let me jump off. I think I need to get blood circulating in my brain so I can think straight. That's what I'm gonna do. Okay, guys, I'll catch you later. Peace.